We enter this life with our first breath. But what really happens after our last one? I'm sure at some point, every one of us wonders, what happens after we take our final breath? After the world, as we know it, lets go of us, or we of it. Death is the one frontier we all face, and still the one we understand the least. It comes without instruction. It doesn't ask what you believe, only how you've lived, and what remains when everything else falls away. But what is death? Is it really the end? Or is it the beginning? Is it just a biological shutdown, an illusion created by a body that was never built to last? Or is it something else entirely? A passage that's measurable, perceivable, and perhaps incomplete. Before we speak of tunnels of light or scientific anomalies, we must ask a far more honest question. What is this part of us that even death struggles to erase? In a remarkable case reported by cardiac surgeon Dr. Lloyd W. Rudy, a patient was declared dead following heart surgery. Approximately 20 minutes later, the patient's heart spontaneously resumed beating without medical intervention. Upon recovery, the patient described vivid perceptions of the operating room during the period of clinical death, including accurate details of conversations and procedures that occurred while he was unresponsive. These accounts were corroborated by Dr. Rudy's assistant surgeon, lending credence to the veracity of the patient's experience. This wasn't an isolated anomaly. In the AWARE study led by Dr. Sam Parnia, researchers investigated over 2,000 cardiac arrest cases. One man, whose brain showed no activity, accurately recounted what was happening in the room while he was clinically dead. He described the beeping of machines, the behavior of medical staff, and even recalled hearing 2 defibrillator shocks, confirmed by hospital records. Across these accounts, a theme emerges. When the body ceases, something watches, something remembers, something survives. What is seeing when the brain is dark? Some of the most advanced consciousness theories go beyond neurons and quantum probabilities. They look at the body as a harmonic instrument, tuned by scalar fields, where consciousness is a phase-locked oscillation, a standing wave, nested within larger resonance structures. In this view, the heart, not the brain, is the central resonator. The high torsion field just above the physical heart acts as a portal, an assemblage point, where waveforms of self stabilize into memory and perception. When death approaches, this coherence begins to unravel, and consciousness doesn't shut down, it is released. It isn't extinguished, but rather retuned into the subtle layers of the unified field. Then there is the mystery of terminal lucidity. Dementia patients, long silent, speak coherent words in their final hours. Some remember names, locations, even past regrets. Some smile as if they see something we cannot. Science cannot explain how degraded brains produce sudden clarity. But maybe clarity doesn't come from the brain. Maybe it returns through it, just before departure. Furthermore, near-death experiences, known as NDEs, are not random hallucinations. In the 1970s, Dr. Raymond Moody coined the term and published Life After Life, chronicling hundreds of cases with uncanny similarities. Thousands of reports since have echoed the same motifs: detachment from the body, the tunnel of light, meetings with beings of unconditional presence, and the panoramic life review. In one verified case, a woman undergoing brain surgery had her eyes taped shut and auditory nerves disabled, yet she later described the tools used, the conversations held, and the sequence of events in the operating room with astonishing precision. Some even describe hovering above their bodies, relaying precise details of medical interventions. These accounts are all empirically validated. And overwhelmingly, those who return speak of a peace beyond words, a luminous stillness, a vibrational field that feels more real than life itself. For some, it is emerging with source, not a place, but rather a presence. Death isn't the end of awareness, but the widening of it. Across continents, religions, and ages, NDEs repeat. Patterns echo. Dr. Pim van Lommel, a Dutch cardiologist, documented cases where blind people saw during death. Children described events later confirmed through family records. Dr. Bruce Grayson's scale of after-death cognition reveals that these are not fuzzy dreams. They follow a neurological logic. But the brain is off. So what's processing it?
The scale includes 16 items. It includes changes in your thought processes, like thoughts becoming faster than ever before, clearer than ever before, having a life review. It includes emotional changes, like a feeling of overwhelming peace and well-being, a sense of being one with the universe, a sense of being encapsulated by unconditional love from a being of light. It includes so-called paranormal things, like a sense of leaving the physical body and seeing things beyond the range of your senses, so-called extrasensory perception. It includes precognitive visions of the future. And it includes so-called otherworldly things, being in some other non-physical realm or dimension, encountering what seem to be entities not of this world, deities or deceased spirits, and finally coming to a point of no return beyond which you can't go and still return to life.
Some physicists propose that consciousness is stored not in matter, but in resonance. Think of it as a harmonic hologram, where the soul is not inside the brain, but encoded in a field. Perhaps death is the release of form back into wave. And for those with eyes attuned to the inner pulse, death is not departure. It is re-entry into the frequency we forgot we belong to. Grasping the nature of reincarnation begins to connect the dots. Dr. Ian Stevenson at the University of Virginia investigated over 2,500 cases of children recalling past lives. His colleague, Dr. Jim Tucker, continues the work today with rigorous protocols. One child remembered being a World War II pilot. He named his ship the aircraft carrier, even the crash, every detail confirmed. Another remembered being murdered and had a birthmark matching the bullet wound of the deceased man's autopsy. In many cultures, the soul's exit is witnessed through weight change, sudden cold, or a shift in the field. One infamous study by Dr. Duncan McDougall recorded a 21-gram weight loss at the moment of death, what he called the departure of the soul. Memory does not die with the body. When the flame of life is extinguished, the soul, no longer held in cellular tension, begins to unbind itself from form. Like a waveform released from a struck string, consciousness expands back into the field from which it came, migrating back into coherence with its truest form. So, is there life after death? Maybe the better question is, was there ever such a thing as death? What we call the end may simply be the collapse of form into field, of particle into wave, of breath into stillness. Not annihilation, reassembly, and perhaps reunion with the true reality outside of the waking dream. Beyond the collapse of form comes the remembering, not just of this life, but of many, of why you came. Some speak of soul realms, of luminous schools of review, where we watch the ripples we left behind, and then a choice to return, to rest, or to merge fully with the source from which all things come. Everything that enters form must spiral back to the origin, and everything that returns bearing gifts. You are not the dream dissolving. You are the dreamer waking up.